Your initial thoughts, I mean, this notice, this intention to try and go down the retrenchment line, your initial reaction as a union?
Yes, well, I think at the moment we're quite shocked. We believe that the retrenchments are premature. We believe it's a drastic step. Look, we concede that retrenchments are a necessary evil in situations where the sustainability of a company is being threatened. But we also believe that unwarranted retrenchments threaten the very sustainability that they're trying to guard. We don't believe a company can cut itself into success. We don't believe that Telkom is making the right move in retrenching these workers and also retrenching them as a first port of call rather than a last resort. There are other options available, and that's what we believe should be pursued.
What haven't they pursued, in your view?
Well, the thing is, it's quite clear that the plan to move from fixed line to more mobile, it's been in the works for a while. So there should have been a contingency plan, and there's no reason why one can't be set up right now. We have a lot of institutional knowledge in that sector. There's a lot of experience, and it's also skilled, semi-skilled workers. They can fit into a new structure. If there is a new structure, there's no reason why that section of Telkom can't be reskilled, retrained to fit into the new proposed structure, as opposed to just simply leaving the workers out in the cold.
All right, but many workers probably won't be able to upskill to a new digital platform.
Well, that's the thing is, we're not talking about completely unskilled workers. Most of these workers are work in, are semi-skilled or are engineers or fit into that mold. So, I think the point of reskilling and the difficulty associated with it is overemphasized. And I think that when you are talking about retrenchments, and this is year upon year retrenchments. This isn't the first year. Last year we saw just over 2,000 retrenchments in Telkom. They seem to think that they can just cut the workforce in order to facilitate some sort of artificial profit.
So this hasn't come as a surprise to you then, and I just wonder if that's the case, could you not have been perhaps more proactive in saying, look, we see what the future looks like, and can you start the process of reskilling, retraining? Is that something that you tried?
Well, it's something that you would presume that management, having the employees, their best interest in their hearts, that they would undertake to do something like that. Look, Telkom was performing quite well in the build up to the year. Yes, there was a bit of a sell-off on the share price. Profits are down somewhat, but at that point you expect management to approach trade unions, to approach workers, to explain the situation so that a mutually beneficial agreement can be made rather than a unilateral decision on the part of the employer.
All right, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're accepting that there might be some retrenchments, but what you're hoping is that it's not as severe as they've put on the table so far.
Well, I mean, we can't really forecast what will happen. At the moment, what we're asking, we sent a letter to Sipho Maseko, the CEO, as well as the Exco board earlier today. We're still awaiting a reaction. And our letter basically says, let's just have a moratorium on retrenchments. Let's delay the retrenchments. Let's consult first. Let's see if we can't find a way of providing a way forward which doesn't necessarily involve having to retrench a fifth of the workforce.
It is a difficult one, especially when people's jobs and livelihoods are at stake. But there is a reality that the economy is growing much slower than anticipated. It's not looking great for 2020. And so businesses across the board are going through this same pain. And I'm just wondering if it isn't something that you say to yourself, we're going to have to bite the bullet a little bit here.
Well, look, I think you should guard against being to overgeneralizing matters. You have to look at specific situations, look at specific companies. With regard to Telkom, yes, their profits were down somewhat, but that was due mostly to financing costs. So they're making a lot of debt in order to finance their move towards mobile. That's got very little to do with the economy. So you have to look at each individual situation. Yes, there might be some cases, particularly in the retail sector at the moment, So there are sectors which do feel the impact of the economy, but I don't think you should paint it with too broad a brush and just assume that it gives a carte blanche to every company to do as many retrenchments as they feel like.
All right. What are the workers saying? They must be feeling all sorts of anxiety at this stage.
Anxiety, they feel very uncertain. The decision wasn't communicated until yesterday. There was no indication that this decision would have been made earlier. So yes, a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, and given the, like you said, the other point with the economy is the workers are facing a very tight labour market at the moment. It's going to be very difficult for them to find another job. So that's also from their perspective, it makes it even worse.
So a lot of people probably watching what's happening at Telkom, and they're looking at SAA and Transnet, which were Telkom was a fully owned company by the state, then partially privatized, and they're probably thinking, if this is the future, we're also going to start losing jobs. Is this a fear that you have generally, that state-owned entities, where some of your members are, may go through the same pain if private equity comes into these businesses?
Well, look, I think once again you have to be careful not to overgeneralize, and you have to look at each company in isolation. With regard to Telkom, you also have to look at the impact which it has on the broader economy. Telkom does make a profit. Telkom, in fact, I think they made almost 900 million profit. They paid around hundreds of millions in tax, whereas wholly state-owned companies, they get billions in bailouts. So with regard to the economy, the private equity does seem to be the best option, even if that means some pain in specific sectors.
All right, so what are you going to do next? You've sent the letter. Are you planning these mass actions, as it were, calling for the board to be declared delinquent? What's the plan?
Well, at the moment, we're waiting. We know there'll be a consultation on the 22nd. We plan to take part in that consultation, but we're leaving all the cards on the table. We'll see what information management can provide us, and we'll evaluate our position with regard to that as the information comes in. But at the moment, there are no steps which we have taken off the table.
All right. Okay. We're going to have to leave it there, but thanks very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us on what must be a very difficult time for many of the employees at Telkom. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, Monet.